folks, and welcome back to another episode of your Brains Coach podcast. My name is Shurina. I'm your host. I'm your Brains Coach, and it is my job here to bring you everything science has to offer when it comes to brain-body optimization, so you could get out there and improve your habits, install new habits, and break old ones to feel, look, and do your absolute best. And I'm, folks, a proponent of science-based methods. Like today, for example, you're going to be learning about recovery. And recovery is, it's very important. But what I don't like about a lot of articles about recovery is they're not specific. They don't give you specific prescription, even though there is pretty good science about how brain works and what kind of recovery we would actually need on a daily basis to keep going day after day after day after day without burning out and having to take a vacation. And so today, folks, is Monday, and it's 5-Bullet Monday. It's inspired by 5-Bullet Friday by Tim Ferriss. And I'm bringing to you news, research, different interesting protocols, articles that came out over the past week. And I have my Google alerts set up, so Google delivers me all the insights that appeared on the internet, from studies to different interesting articles about brain nutrition, high performance, and nutritional neuroscience. That's the last one that I've set up. But anyhow, folks, so let's just start with recovery. So I was reading this article on CNBC, and it is, CNBC Psychologist. The title of the article is "The Number One Habit That Sets Successful People Apart from Everyone Else," says psychologist. It's a non-negotiable. And the article is about recovery. So millionaires and Olympians alike tout the importance of outworking your competition and pushing past your limits. While this might be true, exertion isn't what sets high achievers apart from everyone else. Recovery is, says Sarah Sarkis, a psychologist and senior director of performance psychology. And from my experience, and I worked with elite athletes, top athletes who, get medals and get paid for their performance. I worked with top executives and entrepreneurs. And that's exactly the key to their level, learning how to recover optimally so they can peak at their performance times. And the article goes into, the importance of things like yoga, meditation, and journaling, and time in nature, but it doesn't really give you any specific advice. So I'm going to give you a little bit more specific advice based on our knowledge about how our brain works, like different cycles that it goes through, the time interval our brain seems to be capable of focus, and how many of those intervals, very short but very specific, folks. So pay attention right now. Our brain at night and during the day works in 90-minute cycles. At night, they call them sleep cycles. Like, for example, one of those is deep sleep. The other one is rapid eye movement sleep, and there are others. And during the day, they call them ultradian cycles, 90-minute cycles that our brains seem to be functioning at, meaning you're able to focus for approximately 90 minutes, usually a little bit less than that, and then you need to take a break. And then you have 2 to 4, Andrew Huberman says 2 to 4 of those highly focused intervals per day, and you're kind of done. The rest should be done on not so focused work, maintenance work, and then you gotta take breaks in between those work bouts to be able to function well throughout your whole day, and then at night also feel like you're not exhausted and fatigued, but actually can enjoy your life and perhaps enjoy quality time with your family, or spend time learning something, or reading, or engaging in some activities instead of just collapsing on the couch watching Netflix and eating food, right? And again, with the recovery and peaking and performing well, it's all about learning how to create this workflow that is bouts of focused work and then recovery. So you recover as you go, and at the end of the day, you're not mentally exhausted, fatigued, and tired and burned out, but instead you can go day after day after day, and that's what actually leads to success, continuously showing up for your goals. So what do we do? 90-minute cycle, right? Every 30 minutes, I recommend a mini break, every 30, 45 minutes. And mini break, one of the most, effective way to restore your capacity to work is actually breath work or mini meditation. So breath work usually works really, really well. So, and here you have box breathing. I'm not going to go through details of each protocol. Otherwise this podcast will take forever, but box breathing, physiological sigh, sometimes, also what works for if you want to restore also your energy and you're feeling kind of sleepy, what works is hyperventilation, box breathing, exhale, focus breathing, just when you exhale longer than you inhale, and do that for 5 minutes and you'll feel much more refreshed. And of course, do things like every 30 minutes, I personally prescribe fitness breaks when you just stand up, maybe do a few squats, a few stretches, so you keep that blood flowing towards your brain, eliminating byproducts of your brain's and body's metabolism, cellular metabolism. So, and then once a day, I also prescribe a nature time, and nature doesn't have to be necessarily like by the beach. If you have this, enjoy it. Park, greens work amazingly well. Or just looking at a picture with landscape, beautiful nature landscape, or sitting by a water fountain. All of that helps you to relax fast. Of course, being in a park, even in some city park that is small, but facing, maybe some tree and just, absorbing the beauty of it, that will really help you to recover. And there is a lot of studies confirming that. So just exposing yourself into nature in whichever way you can is a great restorative practice. So do it every day. And of course, going human beings, again, it's non-negotiable. We need to walk. So get your steps in, get your 8,000 steps. That seems the amount that is confirmed by studies that is kind of optimal minimum for a human being. So walk, but then again, every 30, 45 minutes, take a mini break, and every 90 minutes, take something like a longer break. Yoga Nidra or body scan, just look it up, 10-minute Yoga Nidra protocol, and you'll find interesting body scan routines, and you lay down and you do it, and it actually restores a pool of your neurotransmitters, basically the ability of your brain cells to communicate and of your brain to work effectively. So that you do every 90 minutes, and then you have, if you're lucky, you're going to have like 4, let's say, of those protocols, 3, 4. And then the rest of the time, again, mundane work, but still take those breaks. In the middle of the day, I always recommend a longer break for food, for walk, not for social media. That's, folks, very essential. Social media does not restore your brain. It keeps your brain, reward system and dopamine system engaged and working, and it's not restorative at all. Plus, you just focus with your gaze on that tiny screen that also seems to be producing more stress hormones, and again, it kind of makes it like work. If you want to relax your mind, you need to look further away. You need to literally and physically gain perspective. That actually relaxes your mind when you change your gaze from focusing on something really close like your phone to looking, for example, into the horizon. So every 90 minutes, have this big break, in the middle of the day, go for a walk, have some food. At the end of the day, have some food, go for a walk, and you'll feel so much better. And of course, sleep, folks. Sleep is a fundamental of any recovery protocol. Also, in this article, not in this article, in another article, they have this practice, that's called, happiness break. Pause to look at the sky. And what it basically means, in the middle of the day, let's say, go somewhere where you can see the sky and just take a few deep breaths and look at the sky and just admire how vast it is, what color it is, clouds. Just think about the sky and just really feel, awe, how gorgeous it is, right? Then take a few other breaths and see how your state changes, how your energy changes. So that's another cool practice that is very, very effective, actually. So even if your piece of nature is heaven or sky, then gaze at that. It will also improve your recovery and restorative power, will boost restorative power of your brain, so you can then get after work again, folks. So that was bullet number 1. Bullet number 2 about foods to avoid for brain fog. The breakfast foods that lead to no, I just lost the that's the title of the article. The breakfast foods lead to the sluggishness and brain fog throughout the day, nutritionist word. And the article is about what I've been preaching for quite a while. If you want to stay away from brain fog and sluggishness and sleepiness and inability to cognitively function, you do not need more caffeine, folks. What you need is to avoid fast, sugary carbohydrates and floury. So basically anything made from white flour, especially if sugar added, sugary drinks, fruit juices, whether that's cold pressed or not, doesn't matter. Fast sugars will make your brain foggy and sluggish more often than not, unless you're an athlete and you're like super active and that's what you fuel yourself with. But most of us are keyboard warriors, not actual warriors, right? So sugary stuff. The second thing they mention here is gluten and dairy. On this point, what they mean is that if you if you think that you might be slightly or alert sensitive to dairy, different, stuff that is in dairy, or gluten, then go without and see if you feel better. Obviously, you also need to eliminate the processed sugars before. Otherwise, one thing might cause the problem and you might think it was the other. So dairy products, for me personally, dairy doesn't cause any issues. I eat it for breakfast. I feel amazing. Gluten, grains, are not my foods. My body always reacts with immune response to that. That's why I don't eat them, folks. I don't think I have celiac or anything. No, not like that. But I always feel anxious and low on energy. And then I actually almost get a fever after I eat grains, especially if I haven't eaten them for a while, right? Another thing on the list, fried foods, trans fats, oxidized fats of any kind. When you cook your food in fat at high temperatures, that's what, fried foods are. Those fats will create more inflammation in your gut and in your brain, and they will also, in more people, they will call anxiety and just kind of like being all over the place, also not able to focus, not able to get into flow to get work done, right? So fried foods, fast carbs, and stuff that you are allergic to or sensitive to, that you kind of have to experiment with. It's just gluten and dairy are those that might be causing problems for big amount of people. When it comes to dairy, there is also like a walk around that, because dairy products are actually really nutritious ones. Of course, without sugar and all of that. Specifically, I'm talking about fermented dairy products, but even a simple milk, high in protein, much more than plant-based milk, of course, and other nutrients. So lactose-free, there are more than enough options available, from milks to yogurt, that might improve the situation for you. Like, for example, a lot of South Asian people do not process lactose. They just lack the enzyme when they get adults, when they, grow up. And so they go with dairy free. Here in Brazil, a lot of Japanese, and I think because of that, they have a lot of lactose free stuff, and I eat it all the time. Not necessarily because I'm avoiding lactose, but because it's just the only stuff that is there. But anyhow, folks. So again, foods to avoid, fried foods, for some of you, dairy and gluten, and of course, all kinds of processed stuff with weird ingredients, and high in fast carbohydrates, basically processed, liquid, floury, made of flour carbohydrates, that all will have the potential to cause your brain fog and sluggishness and inability to concentrate, and energy roller coaster and anxiety. So that was bullet number 2, folks. What foods to avoid for breakfast and any time of the day, actually. Then we have mice and aging. So Medical News Today reported, but I actually saw it in some other magazines, a new study in mice proposes for the first time a novel factor that drives aging processes. The authors of study, and folks, you probably might be hearing it, one of the first in your friend's circle. So the authors of the study report that reduction in the protein menin and in brain's hypothalamus results in neuroinflammation that may cause characteristics of aging. There is also amino acid D-serine involved, but the basic idea is certain proteins and amino acid decline for whichever reason. I didn't understand from the study what the reason was. I don't think it's clear now. So with age, we have less of that with amino acids of menin and amino acids D-serine, and that seems to be causing or maybe correlated, they're also not sure, with increased neuroinflammation, and all of that causes specifically hypothalamus and probably other areas of the brain to malfunction, and that drives the changes in our metabolic processes, the way we maintain muscle mass, like a lot of things happen because our brain, or specifically this part of the brain that is in charge of a lot of processes, hypothalamus, they start to malfunction, and that's why we see the effects of aging. Now, a lot of things has to be done. They are thinking about supplementing with these amino acids to counteract the effects of aging, but it's just at the very beginning. But I'm bringing it to you. That was bullet number 3, right? The aging might be starting in our brain, or be that link between genes and what manifests as aging. Might be a brain, and I'm actually, thinking about it. Might be indeed the brain. Now, this one, bullet number 4, is not that new. This study came out, let me see when it came out. 2016, but it only now kind of getting the attention. Brain drain. The mere presence of one's own smartphone reduces available cognitive capacity, from the University of Chicago. So the base idea is all of our cognitive capacities will change according to this study, and it was a pretty good study. Not a big one, not a lot of people, but it was very consistent. So they measured fluid intelligence, they measured other cognitive capacities, like let me see, actually, fluid intelligence and working memory, yes. So working memory, fluid intelligence, that's what they measured. And working memory, it's the one, that we use when we work on anything, storing their information for processing. It's not the one that is long-term memory, but it's the one that we need to actually get the work done. And then also fluid intelligence, definition of fluid intelligence, actually need to look that up. In any case, folks, so all the cognitive capacities were reduced when the phone, our smartphone, was on the desk. That's what they saw the most pronounced effect. So what they speculate is that some of your cognitive resources go into managing this phone, and for obvious reasons. There is a lot going on. There is, our social life. There are all kinds of notifications from all kinds of messages, work or life related. So when the phone was on our desk, the participants of this study performed the worst when the phone was somewhere in the bag, like, maybe on your chair or somebody somewhere a little bit away, but it was still in your proximity, and perhaps you even saw it. You were able to look at it. So at that in that case, the participants performed the second worst to the desk position, and then the best result, where people performed the best, was when the phone was out of reach, out of sight, out of mind, somewhere like in the other room, or perhaps if it's the office in your storage facility. So the takeaway from that one, if you don't want to waste your brain capacity to perform brilliantly, then folks, it is in your best interest to figure out how to put your phone away, and perhaps recommend, if at work, to create phone storage capacity and figure out how to communicate in other ways. Perhaps set up the timing to connect with your peers, with your co-workers, so nobody missing anything or waiting for replies, unnecessarily wasting time, right? So brain drain effect, put your phone somewhere far away where you don't see it, and hopefully in some other room. And then the last piece, the point number 5, is about happy brain chemicals. This article, I actually read a book that's called Habits of a Happy Brain. Retrain your brain to boost your serotonin, dopamine, oxytocin, and endorphins levels. And I have a feeling that the author of this article on mind, body, green health read the book. So happy brain chemicals, what are they and how to get more? That is the title of the article. And in the article, they're talking about these exact chemicals, brain chemicals and neurotransmitters that are not just present in the brain, but also throughout the body. We're talking about dopamine, we're talking about serotonin, we are talking about endorphins and oxytocin. And all of them are related to so many good things in our life. Dopamine, it's pleasure, motivational control. It's known to encourage healthy memory, better sleep, focus, concentration. Dopamine is our molecule, of drive, of motivation, of making us go. People who don't have enough dopamine cannot focus, and people who have severely not enough dopamine, they having troubles moving. There is some disease when you don't get dopamine and you start having a lot of problems with your movement. Then serotonin, it's kind of like a confidence molecule from the data that I've analyzed. Some authors, neuroscientists even call it that. So serotonin promotes feelings of happiness, supports happy mood, regularity, example, healthy normal poops and digestion, sleep hygiene, appetite. Serotonin is a molecule of status, right? So then we have oxytocin, that is positive physical interactions molecule. And oxytocin has a lot to do with different aspects of our health, from stress management to our sexual hormones management. Just so many systems depends on oxytocin, during childbirth, a lot of things happening around oxytocin, and it makes us bond and trust each other and cooperate as people. And we get endorphins that often considered to be these happy molecules that you get from exercise, but actually you get them from things like sexual activity or eating or drinking, all the activities that promote our life, our well-being, our survival. So then the article goes into how to get more happy brain chemicals. And in this article, they focus on nutrition. Like, for example, for dopamine, for serotonin, you need to eat amino acids that they're made from. Specifically, we have tyrosine for dopamine. We have tryptophan for serotonin. And those are mostly better concentrated in animal-based foods that you need to eat on a regular basis, But then they also depend on sunlight and movement and good sleep. Everything in our body depends on good sleep and good nutrition. But these are specifics, if you don't get enough protein in your system, you're not going to be having all that much dopamine, drive for action, or all that much serotonin, feeling confident, and having regular, again, sleep and appetite and everything else. Sun is very important for those neurotransmitters. But perhaps as an extra piece, I'd like to add something from the book that I've also named here, Habits of a Happy Brain. Retrain your brain to boost your serotonin, dopamine, oxytocin, and endorphin levels. And let me see about the author. So the book is written, she studied the habits and the behaviors of mammals, and she studied brain chemistry of that behavior. And so what she found is these, happy chemicals have a lot to do with how mammals specifically behave, and what we get reward from, what we get pleasure from, and then, our drivers to pursue things or avoid things. And so she based her work on that, and then she created these habits for a happy brain, but basically a brain that keeps you going after things that are important to you, avoiding things that are harmful to you in some way, and making progress in your life and living your life in a happy manner. So dopamine, right? The drive molecule, the motivation, that getting things done molecule, the focus molecule. So what does the author recommend? Celebrate small victories. Take steps toward a new goal. Divide an unpleasant task into small parts. Keep adjusting the bar. So remember, dopamine likes progress. Manufacture it. Don't set up a goal for 10 years and forget about it for 10 years. No, you have to have a small goal accomplishment every single day, preferably several times a day. That's why you need to break down big goals into smaller pieces, celebrate them with this internal feeling of victory, and then adjust the bar and go forward, right? Then here we have endorphins, the ones that make us feel happy and like we live a joyful life experience. So endorphins likes things like laughing and crying out of emotions, and exercise and stretching, especially in a different way that your body is not used to. Making exercise fun movement, that's what endorphins love. Plus eating chocolate is also, by the way, good for endorphins. Oxytocin, what does oxytocin likes? The one that makes us feel connected to others and to life and appreciated and trustworthy and trusting, like we're among our peers. So build trust with people, right? Trust people and make yourself trustworthy by, doing what you say you do and serving people in some way. And then go for, hugs. Another neuroscientist, Paul Zak, who studies oxytocin, recommends 6 hugs a day. Connect with other human beings. Also getting a massage. Also, any sorts of physical treatments will increase oxytocin and just will make you feel safe and good in life. And then we have serotonin, our molecule of status, of confidence, of feeling like, you got your shit together and you are an accomplished human being and what you have is enough. Serotonin, if dopamine is about go, get pursued, serotonin is about enough, happiness, satisfaction. So what does serotonin likes? Express pride in what you've done. Dopamine also likes pride, right? Be satisfied with what you accomplish. Don't compare yourself to anyone but to yourself. Enjoy your social position at any moment. Sometimes you lead, sometimes you serve, right? Notice your influence, how you help others. Make peace with something you can't control. So that's what serotonin is all about. And that's it, folks. I think that's been quite a long freaking episode. Almost 30 minutes. And to sum it up, recovery, that's where high performers distinguish themselves from others. And you got the prescription at the beginning of this episode. Foods to avoid for brain fog, sugary, fried, and anything you're allergic or sensitive to. Mice and aging, there is some protein that might be making our brain malfunction, and that's why we might be experiencing the signs of aging all over our body. Brain drain, right, where your phone matters for your cognitive capacity, so put it away somewhere in the other room. And the last but not least, happy brain chemicals. We have dopamine that likes progress. We have endorphins that loves having fun. We have serotonin that is your confidence, your status. So take pride in the moments when you accomplish things, when you progress, feel satisfied, feel like it's enough. And when you serve others also, and about serving others, oxytocin loves connection with others, physical touch, hugging, massages, and all of that will make you feel like you belong and that you matter and you are connected and your life has meaning. So treat your happy brain chemicals and your life experience is going to be amazing because it's all in those brain chemicals, how you feel your life is. And that's it for today, guys. If you love this episode, please rate it. Please give us 5-star reviews on any platform where you find it. Please post a comment. I love reading those and it matters a lot for my work, right? And the most important thing, folks, please share this episode. If you found something useful, help other people to find it so they also do better, find useful pieces of information to feel, to look, to do their absolute best so they create the exact life experience that they want. Thank you, folks. Have an amazing Monday, amazing week. Really appreciate you, and you'll hear from me very soon.